Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of Rhinebeck regular town board meeting. It's June 25th. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion for the approval of our prior minutes for our June 11th regular meeting? Thanks, Brennan.
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Does anybody have any announcements? I guess we can go right into the resolutions. I know that you have a letter that you'd like to bring up first, so why don't we do that first, please, Suzanne? No, why don't you just tell us what it's about?
I have a letter from for the town of Rhinebeck. Is pleased to learn that the village of Rhinebeck has commenced the requisite application steps for securing a New York State grant offered through the Department of Environmental Conservation. This letter is a response to recent outreach initiated by John Rossi, the village trustee, and village grant committee chair to the town. The specifics and purposes of the outreach are summarized below. But what it really comes down to is just, it's a letter really in support of the Urban and Community Forestry Grants Program for the tree inventory of all existing trees in the village as well as the town of Rhinebeck Cemetery.
I thought it was in the village parks only.
No.
All through the village? So the village is graciously extending the grant to inventory of the trees in our town cemetery. So this is asking the town board to approve me signing a letter to give the village a recommendation for this grant, a recommendation in support of this grant. You guys okay with that?
That specifically doesn't include the town park.
No.
No.
Not the
Thompson
top.
Mazzarella.
Right.
Okay.
It's for the whole village and the
Town of Rhinebeck
cemetery.
And the village park.
So I guess we need a resolution from the floor.
Yeah.
May
Make a resolution.
I have a motion to allow the supervisor to sign a letter in support of the Village of Rhinebeck's Grant 2018 Urban and Community Forestry Grant Program, Tree Inventory and Community Forest Management Plan.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ed. May I have a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So great, I'll sign the letter tomorrow. And Gary, thanks for, Mayor Bassett's here. Thank you for including us in this.
We're glad to work together on doing this.
Thank you. And thanks, Suzanne. Okay. Back to our regular meeting. I know Warren is here, and Warren, you have a item that we need to bring up from the floor. It's for the Garden Homes Transportation Corporation matter.
Yes. Actually, the form of resolution which we just dashed off tonight needs to be amended. So the resolution should read, and I'll give you, John, I'll send it to you tomorrow morning when I get that from the meeting. It should read a resolution to commence the approval process for formation of a transportation corporation pursuant to Transportation Corporation Law, Section 118 for the Garden Homes Management Corporation. And this relates to the Garden Homes mobile home park, which is located on Route 9 at the intersection, near the Four Corners intersection. And an issue has arisen with regard to their wastewater system, which has already been approved by DEC and they have a speedy permit for it. And there was a legal action regarding the discharge point for their speedies permit, which was apparently decided unfavorably to Garden Homes. So in order to continue a system that services that park, they have to come up with an alternative plan. And in order to do that, they have to form a transportation corporation under Section 118 of the Transportation Corporation Law, In order to form a transportation corporation for sewage disposal system, it requires the approval of the town board or the municipal board. And it's a fairly complex process. Normally when you're starting from scratch and there is no system in place, where there's a lot of oversight and a bonding requirement. I have been working with the attorneys for the mobile home park, and we've agreed, and we've consulted with the town engineer, has also agreed that we can do a more expedited approval process whereby we have our town engineer review the existing system and the plans and the permits, and then report back to the town board whether we can grant approval for the formation of the transportation corporation, which has to be annexed to their application to the Department of State. I've negotiated an escrow agreement with them that's pursuant to our escrow law. It's been approved by the town engineer who's willing to do the work. We've gotten 2 checks to fund the escrow, one for the attorney to the town, one for the engineer, which I've given to John. So it's just a matter of someone making a motion to commence the approval process, which would basically be directing the town engineer and myself to work with the garden homes and their engineers and attorneys to start the process. It'll culminate in a report back to the board, and then we'll prepare the resolutions, assuming everything's in order for approval for the transportation.
So we need a resolution to allow you to commence the process of the Garden Homes Transportation Corporation matter resolution.
And that's all in the resolution. There's no reason to go over it.
So moved. May I have a second? Thanks, Chauncey.
Okay, great.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay. Warren, we have a couple of other things on here, but did you want, I want you to stay for the, this is item 6, Resolution 2018-173, creating a capital project account, setting budget, and approving the transfer of funds for the town reassessment project. It's tab 6. We have a budget for this of $315,000. We've added $1,000 additional because there are some new maps that we're going to have to order from the county. And what I want to do is start a capital projects account, which is H105 for the townwide real property reassessment project. And for everybody, yes, this includes the village too. The town assesses for both the town outside the village and the village. I wanted to appropriate $50,000 in general fund balance and start the capital project with this. We have a healthy account reserve. This project is going to take 2 years. I think that this will get us started nicely. And at the end of this budget cycle, when we close out the year, we can sweep in any other unspent fund balance into this. I'd like to see how far we could get without having to bond any of this, because if we have the money, I would advocate using it instead of, accumulating more debt. But I'm asking you tonight to let me appropriate $50,000 in fund balance and transfer it to this new capital fund. So I will make a motion for Resolution 2018-173, creating a capital project account, setting the budget, and approving the transfer of funds for our town reassessment project. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I need a roll
So-
call vote on that.
Yep.
Why?
Because you're expending funds.
By roll call, Brennan Carney,
Aye.
Alan Shear,
Aye.
Ed Roberts,
Aye.
Chauncey Walker,
Aye.
and Elizabeth Spindia, Supervisor. I vote aye as well. Thank you very much. Warren, did you want to talk to us about anything else before you go?
Just briefly, I just wanted to bring you up to speed on the issue of the Winnicke application to the town to participate and endorse a grant proposal for an extension or creation of a trail that's going to connect Route 9 to the Thompson Mazzarella
This is
Park.
what you and Chauncey have been working on
We've been
with
working on it.
Ed and Suzanne Kelly in the
Well, it
cemetery.
would go through the cemetery. And it's, to make a long story short, it's a very complex process with a lot of legal issues that we need to resolve before we can, the town board, before I can recommend to the town board that it endorse the application for the grant funding. And I've been in touch with the State Office of Parks, who have agreed with me that the concerns that we have are certainly legitimate, and they would like to work with us to provide us with documentation to help us make our decision as to whether to endorse the application, what consequences that may have. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. I haven't gotten that documentation yet. It was promised to me by last Friday, and the person at the Office of Parks is on vacation for a week. So that's going to set things back a little bit. But as soon as I get that documentation from that office, I'll review it, and then I'll get back in touch with you to see whether there's something we can do as soon as possible to make a decision on this.
Thank you. So we're working on it, we're not ready to do it.
All right.
Okay. Thanks for all your work on it.
I think that's it.
Do you need us, you can, but you're
No.
good? We'll carry on then.
Take off.
Thanks. Thanks for reminding us of the roll call. Well, Mayor Bassett is here. I'd like to make a motion, this is tab 3 for Resolution 2018-170, support for Rhinebeck Village Transportation Alternatives Program grant application for a pedestrian/bicycle path from the north side of the village to Rhinebeck Public Schools. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brennan. So this, the village is getting another grant to seek to build a pedestrian bicycle path from the intersection of Route 9 and Platte to Mulberry and Parsonage and across East Market Street to North Park and the Rhinebeck High School, continuing on South Parsonage to Knollwood to Chancellor. I think that's fantastic. Good
Yeah.
work. So they're just asking, as is common with grants, that neighboring municipalities give a letter of endorsement, and this resolution is asking for that. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Great, two good grants,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much for your support.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we'll come back onto pick up our agenda. I will make a motion for Resolution 2018-168 for the budget transfers and amendments. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. I'm sorry, bear with me 1 second, I need a note here. Second, okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for Resolution 2018-169 for our preliminary account payable abstracts. There are 42 checks totaling $105,876.02. May I have a second? Thank you, Alan. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Let me see, Resolution 20, this is item number 4 for Resolution 2018-171, hiring a part-time building inspector to conduct fire inspections. May I have a
Make
motion?
a motion.
Thanks, Ed. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Brennan and I met with Bob DeLuca, who was found by our building inspector. He's a certified building inspector.
I didn't meet them.
Who did?
I don't know.
Me and, I guess Ed and I.
I'd love to take credit, but I
No,
think
you were
for
at
the
another
record, I
meeting.
better.
Okay, so Ed and Kimberly and I
We did
met.
other meetings this week.
He is a county building inspector, and as such is allowed to do fire inspections. Ed is busy, and we're going to subcontract with Bob to do fire inspections that Kimberly will set up with him, and he'll get us on
It's
track
great.
to get all of our, businesses, dormitories. We have a whole list that we have to do. Some are every 3 years, some are annually. Additionally, we may have to look at our code to amend our code to include short-term rentals, which I believe is a new state mandate. But he's willing to do this, and we'll pay him on a per inspection fee for no matter how long it takes, but this will get us up to speed. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item 5, Resolution 218-172, cell phone policy. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Alan. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Brennan. This is laying out who in the town gets cell phones. We have several people who must be reachable at all times. That's the supervisor, either the highway superintendent or the highway foreman for, emergency, our building inspector for emergency, and our maintenance supervisor for emergency. We have 2 people who need cell phones from time to time for their jobs. That would be our recreation director and either the highway superintendent or the foreman, whoever is not on call for 24 hours. So we are saying that you can either get a town cell phone or you can have your cell phone reimbursed. And if you only need your cell phone part-time, you will be reimbursed $35 a month. Is there any questions or any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Alan?
I mean, currently, the person that's on call 24 hours is the foreman.
Yes.
And so he would get his cell phone reimbursed.
He has
The
to-
highway supervisor is part-time, so they can
Yes.
sort of.
Yes. The highway foreman has a town phone. The highway superintendent needs his phone, so we would reimburse him partially. We can look at this again if we need to and add more people, but nobody else seems
Well,
to.
it also lets us review the price of the monthly plan.
Yes, we
So,
can always review it. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I think we're done.
Oh, we have new business.
We have new business.
That's-
Shall I- Okay, so here's a resolution. Here's some work, and then we just want to John. We've been approached by the Star Library Children's Program to allow them to use the park for a climbing wall. There's a company called Climb Time Incorporated who has a portable climbing wall that they'd like to bring to the park, the grass field next to the library, on July 7th. And the company, Climb Time Inc., which by the way, it has a website if you're interested. It's Climb Time, itsclimbtime.com. If you're interested, they have pictures. They've been operating for 18 years. And they have people that are certified to do this. They carry a $5 million insurance policy for liability that covers both the library and the town. At Chauncey's request, I referred this to our insurance company to make sure that it's okay with them. So this resolution basically authorizes the rock climbing event for July 7th at the park, pending approval by the Spain Insurance Company, which is the town's insurance company. What I've included in the package I handed you is both the insurance certificate and a description of the company that's doing the event.
Are we lost payee and additionally insured?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Elizabeth.
Are we lost payee and additionally insured on the certificate?
Well, the text, just in the last box down here says the town of Rhinebeck, its officers, employees, agents, and volunteers are included as additional insured with respect to negligence of the named insured above.
Okay.
is that limited? negligence? Well, that would be the only
Yeah.
reason we would sue her.
All right, well, Spain's gonna sign
Yeah,
it.
Spain's gonna look
Yeah,
at it.
Spain's gonna look at it.
Now, do we have any, are we required to issue a permit, or are they required to get a permit from us before they do this?
Not a permit, but we manage the events at the park, so they're not supposed to
Okay.
do organized events. Nobody's supposed to do organized events at the park without
All right.
approval from the town board. So this basically says, go ahead.
So there's not a permit requirement. Is there any requirement that it be inspected after they've got the wall up to make sure it's safe?
We don't have this in our code. We
Okay.
don't know.
All right, well,
We
that's-
never heard of this before.
The website, by the way, has pictures of all the equipment and what it looks like. It's kind of interesting. Should be a really great event.
So,
You're gonna
are
sign?
Really
you gonna, do we have a resolution on the floor?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is,
this
yeah,
is
the
it.
You
resolution.
motioned it? Do we have a
No,
second?
I move that we,
Do this.
here, I think what I handed you was the resolution, which is basically resolved that the Star Library.
A resolution to approve the Star Library's children's program to use the Thompson Mazzarella Park for a rock climbing event on Saturday, July 7th. May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Only the supervisor fines.
Be careful what you ask for.
Any other business before us? No? Okay. Joel, are you here?
Is that the end of the night?
Set. Maybe 2 minutes.
All right. So I'm doing my monthly public interactive forum. It's happening Thursday, July 26th at 6 o'clock. Just if people have any issues they want to bring forward, that's Thursday, July 26th at 6 p.m. I've been pushing for over a decade for hybrid vehicles to be part of the county vehicle fleet. There's still a teeny tiny, itsy bitsy little percentage, but at least without me pushing too much this year, at least we got 6 ahead. The wheels of justice grind exceedingly slowly. Myself and the rest of my caucus, we've launched an effort to try to get the county executive to veto what was unfortunately just approved at the last meeting of the county legislature, where now, unfortunately, they can change the pay and the salaries of elected officials in off election years. That's not cool. So there's that. I'm working with,
It was approved?
it was approved, unfortunately.
How did the vote come down?
There was, I believe, Deirdre Houston, who's a member of the majority caucus, voted with the rest of the folks in my caucus, but basically everybody else in the majority voted for it.
So people will be getting raises in a non-election year?
They just voted to allow it, to change the county charter to allow it. But I still think it's pretty offensive. I'm working with Hannah Black, who's the minority leader, she's co-sponsoring my legislation to ban conversion therapy for kids in Dutchess County, Ulster County, Albany, Westchester, they're all moving that direction, as it is already in New York City, and Albany had passed it, and Erie County, I think Ulster County may have already passed it as well. I'm also working with Hannah on the veterans issues, the family caregiver program, there's still giant holes in it, and forcing folks to wait. Families, I think veterans who were injured between 75 and 2001 still have to wait an extra 2 years. I'm talking to people in the town of Clinton about this, and I want to get your feedback as well. I don't think that everybody in Rhinebeck necessarily has awesome broadband internet with all this great choice and quality. And I know that it's a huge problem in Clinton. I have a feeling it's an issue in different parts of Rhinebeck. So I want to gather information. There's a guy named Chris Mitchell I reached out to, the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. I've worked with the president of the Institute for Local Self-Reliance for 10 years, a guy named Neil Selman. I brought him to Poughkeepsie a number of times to speak. And now one of my new focuses is this issue of the broadband internet, cost, quality, access, choice. And so I want your input. At 876-2488, 464-2245. I'm trying to get a read on, in the town of Clinton, different roads where it's really bad. And I would like, I don't need it tonight, if you have it tonight, whatever, over the next month or 2 or 3 or 4, I would love to get information on where it's really bad here in Rhinebeck.
I'd be happy to work with you.
All right, let's do it. And the only other thing I was going to say is the Down Syndrome Association of Hudson Valley, they asked for $40,000 for a balanced bike camp, reading tutor, and behavior specialist workshop. Hudson Valley Community Services asked for just 23 grand for a needle exchange program, which we badly need. We do not have a comprehensive program in Dutchess County for that. Mediation Center of Dutchess County asked for 50 grand for the Coalition on Elder Abuse. They were all rejected. And every year there's about $1 million in nonprofit funding requests that are rejected. The Dutchess County Agency Partnership Grant Program pays for a lot of things, but I've been following this for the last 5 or 6 years, every single year. It just so happens they only have enough half the money that they need to fund this stuff. And for instance, last year, the Child Abuse Prevention Center asked for $53K for the Human Trafficking Prevention and Education Program and Teen Parenting Programs, rejected. Well, the county doesn't have any money. BS, the county, it was just announced, and nobody in the media reported, $55 million fund balance, budget surplus. It ended last year. Before that, it was a $59 million fund balance, budget surplus. Before that, it was 57. So because of me and other people kicking and screaming, we've gotten some money added to the county agency partnership funding program. It should be done. They have enough money to do this.
Are you saying there's a yearly $55,000 surplus, or is that the aggregate?
From 96 until 2012, on average, the money left over was 20 million. You know, they changed the county sales tax revenue sharing formula. It just skyrocketed so that we ended 2017 with a $55 million left over. We ended 2016 with $59 million left over. We ended 2015 with $57 million left over.
So what's the fund balance?
That is the fund balance. Now, if you talk to folks in the administration, they'll say, oh, well, we're helping all the municipalities and da-da-da-da-da, but it is money left over. I like to call it a de facto budget surplus. I hope certain people in power don't hear me say that. But basically, a fund balance is a budget surplus. It's the money left over. And when, I know experts on the opiate abuse issue. And when there's 23 grand, you know what they have? They have 2 or 3 days a week. They have the truck that comes around different parts of the county for a few hours. If we're serious about 67 people not dying each year in Dutchess County from the heroin epidemic and the opiate epidemic, we're going to make the needle exchange happen all over, and that prevents spread of diseases. I'm just listening to prevent more time. I'm just giving you a partial list, and I'll give you a full list for the last 3 years or so. It's amazing. Your head will explode when you find out all these great nonprofit program funding requests reject. A lot of them get funded. But there's about $1 million each year that doesn't get funded, and it's BS, because the county has the money to do it.
Thanks, Joel.
Yep.
Any other comments or business from the floor?
I only have 4 of those, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Are you done, Joe?
Yep.
Great. Hearing no other requests. Anybody? I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Yes.